Goldylocks Productions broadcasts universal cosmic frequencies that unlock, awaken, and expand the consciousness of our worldwide viewers and listeners.
Goldylocks Productions presents the Live from Little Bear Sanctuary show with Christopher Vane. Enjoy topics such as the vegan lifestyle, sanctuary media highlights, and spotlighting new rescues.
Good evening, friends. Welcome to Live from Little Bear Sanctuary. I'm your host, Chris Vane. And if you're watching live on this Thursday, October 14th, 2021, don't forget to log in, subscribe to the Goldylocks Productions YouTube channel, and like our shows. It's a great way to support the Sanctuary and all of the shows on the Goldylocks Productions network. And if you missed any episodes, we're on the Goldylocks Productions YouTube, Little Bear Sanctuary Facebook page, and Rumble, and then we're broadcast to every major podcast site for voice. What do I got to tell you guys today? Our yearly auction is this Saturday, 2 days away. We've been talking about it for the past month. We got some really amazing stuff to bid on. It's a silent auction. We're going to put up, I'm probably going to have Tiffany put up the link today. We still have we have a couple more items to add. So you guys will get a chance to preview what's available. And it's going to go from this Saturday, October 16th through October 23rd. So you have a full week to bid. Everything starts out from $3, $5, $10, and it's in dollar bid increments. And it's obviously to raise money for Little Bear Sanctuary so we can feed the critters here. What else can I tell you guys? I think that's it. We're still looking for piglet sponsors. We've got 6 of our piglets sponsored. So we need 4 more. I think there's 2 girls and 2 boys left, if I remember correctly. So yeah, we're excited. We got 6 new sponsors. Thank you guys. Sponsorship starts at $25 a month, and you can sponsor any of our animals. Go to our website, littlebearsanctuary.org, and there's a tab for to donate, to sponsor, all that good stuff. All right, guys. So my guests tonight, they're the founders of a wellness company in New Zealand called Zest Wellness. Welcome to the studio, Mr. Darcy Schack and Dr. Anna Campbell.
Hello, how are you?
Hey guys, how are you doing tonight?
Good, thanks.
So welcome. So Darcy, you have sarcoidosis, correct?
I do. I've got sarcoidosis. I've got COPD as well. Oh, wow. And basically the sarcoidosis is systemic. And so we started a wellness company to try to mitigate some of those things because we were taking a lot of pharmaceuticals. So just trying to do things, I guess, a little more naturally while still relying on the pharmaceuticals as well. So
tell everybody a little bit of what sarcoidosis is. I'm sure people are wondering.
Sure. And yeah, I had never heard of it before. Before I was diagnosed with it. So it's an inflammatory condition where inflammation in the body goes completely unchecked. Inflammation is actually the smoking gun at the scene of every crime. And what it does is it creates these little granulomas. So like there's little non-cancerous growths inside your body. So I've got them inside my lungs. I've got them inside my brain, potentially inside my heart and other organs. So it's quite a debilitating disease. Yeah.
What's the diagnosis long-term for sarcoidosis?
Well, basically what it is you can be diagnosed with, there's a bunch of different stages. And, you know, there's the people who don't need medication. There's the people who do need medication and it goes away. And then there's the people who have it chronically. I'm sort of one of those people who have it chronically. So it seems to have taken root, so to speak.
Sorry to hear that.
Well,
and is it something that normally is in the lungs and then spreads, or?
Yeah, well, it mostly affects the lungs, but it also can affect other organs. I think about 75% of the people who have it in their lungs. Affects a lot of African Americans and Northern Europeans. So there's 2 very distinct groups that it affects. You might know Bernie Mac as an actor. He had sarcoidosis, and that, I believe, is what inevitably killed him. He had a heart attack. But there's the Bernie Mac Foundation in the States that actually deals with a lot of stuff like that.
And it's an autoimmune disease, correct? It's kind of your body working against itself.
Yes, autoinflammatory, autoimmune.
And growing, isn't it? So the number of people worldwide, it's really growing. And I think that's, part of that is connected to our lifestyles and our diets and so forth.
Sure. Yeah, especially diets, right?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And you mentioned inflammation is truly the root of most diseases. Tell me how you guys met. What's the company? Tell everybody a little about Zest Wellness.
Yeah, so we met. So we were working on a plant bioactives project with different plants when we were both in different companies. I'm a plant biologist, plant biotechnologist. So I've had a lifelong interest in what I call plant bioactives, which are really the compounds in plants which that plants use for their own defense or to attract insects, those kinds of things. But actually for human health, they have great value in terms of antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, all sorts of value. And we're both really big believers that it's not that we're against the pharmaceutical industry, but we're really big believers that plant extracts have many compounds, not just one compound. So, there's lots of things going on when we eat plants and when we have plant extracts that you can't necessarily define from just a pharmaceutical point of view, because that's quite a reductionist approach, if that makes sense. So we met working on a plant bioactive project and then started swapping science papers, as crazy scientists do. Started, emailing science papers and very geeky. But and then when COVID hit New Zealand last year, which was about February, March in 2020, Darcy became really scared because obviously with a pre-existing lung condition, it wasn't a nice idea, the thought of gaining COVID. So we started really then researching lung health plant compounds that might be involved in reducing inflammation and improving lung health. And that was when we formed the company and developed our first product.
Okay. So wow, this is pretty new development.
Yeah. So we're, sort of 18 months and our first product's been in the market for 5 or 6 months now and going really well. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Is it available worldwide?
Yeah. Through our website at Zest Wellness. And it is, New Zealand is really, really well known for producing really beautiful low input plants and animals and so forth. And so 90% of the ingredients are sourced from New Zealand farming for boysenberries and black currants and manuka honey as well, which is and so we've developed a really beautiful product that is really helping people with inflammation associated with lung problems.
I'm curious because I know in the States, like even trying to claim, that this is good for you, and I've been vegan for 12 years now, so. For me, I totally, this I think is the science of the future. Here in the U.S., people tend to, it's not so well received sometimes. Do you find it's a little easier to do?
Yeah, it's really interesting. There is a real cynicism against what we call preventative medicine, which is plants for wellness before you get sick, but also plants as medicines. And this is despite the fact that we've been using plants as medicines for thousands and thousands of years. And 10% of modern pharmaceuticals are actually directly derived from plants. So things like opioids and so forth are directly derived from plants, but also another 40% are derived from plant analogues. So they were discovered in plants and then they make synthetic analogues. So modern medicine is founded on these plant compounds. And then on top of that, we've actually only looked at all the plant species in the world. We've only looked at 6% of those species in terms of plant bioactives. So, the more plant species that we eat, it's not just about only eating plants. It's about eating as many different plant species as we can, the better, because these compounds are fantastic.
Yeah, it's funny. I recently finished a course at Cornell in, plant-based nutrition, and they're really starting to look at not just like they're looking at stuff as a group. Not as opposed to like, if I eat an orange, this is what's going to do. If I it's more like a group eating of, plant-based
And it's all about variety, and Darcy's done a lot of work around this, thinking about gut health and how we get the variety of plants.
That's a huge gut health too.
Yeah, so that's one of our next products is a gut health product.
Okay.
When you look at so I lived in North America, and you look at the average North American diet, and it's absolutely shocking.
That's awful.
You're just not getting the variety of plant species that you need to fuel your body. Our bodies are basically fueled by fiber. They're what set up the microbes to give us all of our micronutrients. So if we don't eat those, and I hate to say, go down to your local fast food joint. I won't name any, but you go down to your local fast food joint, and you might have 3 different plant species and a lot of corn product. And what that's doing is it's taking our diversity of our microbiomes away from us. And I actually believe, as well as it's very well documented in literature, that is where most of our problems are coming from. And if you look at the rates of inflammation, of inflammatory diseases, they're all skyrocketing as our fiber intake and types of fiber actually start to minimize. So it's there, and it's in the science.
Yeah. What's your background?
What's that? Sorry.
What's your background in? Tell me a little bit about
basically like mathematics, engineering type stuff. But it's amazing when you look at the human body. It is basically a complex machine. So if you're looking at a complex machine, and you can think of it like the complex machine, that to me starts to make a lot more sense than looking at it as a biological machine, even though it is. Yeah. So I think that not coming from that side of things has allowed me to look at things in a very lateral sort of sense. And Anna is very much that way too. And the first time I talked to Anna, I gave her a Jim Jones reference. I said, I'm drinking your Kool-Aid after about 15 minutes of talking to her, because it was just like, she was just next level. So she understood it.
Yeah.
I think where we often debate, and I think this is really interesting, where we often debate is that I think engineering, it tends to be quite, what's quite a methodical, and whereas biology, there's all this inherent variation that's unexplained. So we often have these debates where it's got to be like this, and I'm like, no, biology doesn't work like that. And we have a lot of fun. And I think the people, some of your listeners will relate to this. So they might read about something which works for someone else and think, well, right, I'm going to go and buy that and try it myself. But for some reason, it doesn't work for them. And when you think about all the different genetics that we all have, the different environment that we're all exposed to, these all affect how we respond to different plants and different medicines. And so, I mean, I love that kind of inherent variation, but as an engineer, it can probably get a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, I would imagine. Gosh, right? So you have this product called Exhale.
Yeah.
Tell me, you mentioned a few things that were in it. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Tell me how it works. What's the benefits?
Wow.
How does it work quickly?
So New Zealand has some of the harshest sun in the world. If you walk out and you are unprotected, you are just going to burn almost instantly, because the UV light here is just so strong, because we really don't have an ozone layer. Yeah. But the plants themselves, so the berries that we're using, boysenberries, they actually have to defend themselves against that sun. And so they make their own sunscreen in the form of plant bioactives. They're called anthocyanins. And the anthocyanins here are incredibly strong and incredibly effective in those berries. And then basically we extract that, make a boysenberry concentrate, add a bunch of stuff to it, and that's basically Exhale. So we've got quercetin as well, which has been documented as an antiviral. It's been documented as an antimicrobial, but it's also what they call a zinc ionophore. And a zinc ionophore is something that actually helps transport zinc into the cells. And that's really important, because our whole innate immune system is basically, where our whole immune system is powered by zinc. And so if you can have sort of, you think about it like a molecule that actually helps get the zinc into the cells, you've got a perfect system for powering your immune system and being antiviral at the same time. So that's basically the crux of it. So what we wanted is and the boysenberries have been shown preclinically and in a number of other models to reduce inflammation as well as reduce cytokine storms basically in your lungs. They've been shown to wick away that inflammation, wick away that liquid that's building up in your lungs.
Huh. This is fascinating stuff. So we all hear zinc is good. Take it when you have a cold, take zinc, take the pills.
Yeah.
Is your product, is it like a more bioavailable?
Incredibly bioavailable.
As opposed to just taking zinc, obviously the combination is what you guys are working on.
Yeah, and same with the quercetin. One of the problems with quercetin is that it's quite hydrophobic, so it needs to be presented to the body in a certain way. So we've presented it with sugars and ways in which the body is more able to absorb it, and that's something that we spend a lot of time on, is really understanding the biology of the molecules and how they work. Just for your interest, you probably may not have heard of what a boysenberry is. So a boysenberry is...
I've heard of a boysenberry, yeah.
You have heard of a boysenberry? So
tell everybody.
It's a hybrid between loganberries, blackberries, and raspberries. And in New Zealand, we grow a lot of boysenberries, and one of our favourite ice cream flavours is boysenberry ice cream.
Never had it.
So there you go. That's a side note. But so we really work hard on the bioavailability, and we make sure the product tastes good as well. So it's a syrup form.
It's a syrup.
Product.
Okay. Is it something you take every day? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I do every day. Incidentally, I've not had a serious lung infection since I've started taking.
I was going to ask. It's obviously working.
Yeah, well, I've increased my lung capacity, and I'm not saying or claiming anything there. Sure. It has for me. Yep. But I was down to my lung capacity was diminishing, and I've actually increased it by 15 to 18%, which is significant.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good
yeah. So I'm alive. Yay!
Yeah, wow. This is amazing stuff. I was a PA in New York for many years. You have PAs out there, I think, right? Yeah.
PA, principal,
physician assistant.
Oh yeah, totally. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, it's pre-vegan, being a PA, everything's, people go to the doctor, they want a pill. Like there's no matter who goes in, if it's a virus, they're not happy. You can't just say, go home, you'll be fine. They want a pill.
Antibiotics.
I think it's so ingrained in most of us. It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. And I think, we obviously in Darcy's case, he's using it for a disease, but I still take these products because my father was a medical doctor, and he worked in preventative medicine. And so he always used to be talking about, for every dollar that we spend in preventative medicine, so in preventing an illness happen, we actually save $6. But yet we still, unfortunately, our medical system tends to teach that kind of ambulance at the bottom of a cliff, for want of a better metaphor. But it is that, we can do so much to make our own selves feel better through our diet, and I guess the challenge is we know all that, right? So we know we probably don't eat as well as we could, and we don't do enough exercise. So our real message is that I think that you can start at any time, and wellness doesn't have to be for the people that are very bendy and can do yoga in beautiful ways. Wellness is for people like us as well. We can all start to do little things to help our bodies feel better.
Interesting too, when you talked about the people go to the doctor, like there has to be a certain amount of personal accountability. Like we sort of have to own our stuff. And you can't go and eat a hamburger every day for 40 years and expect that there's not going to be repercussions from that.
Right. For sure. Yeah. Cholesterol, number one, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, cigarette smoking is another one.
Right.
But it's like, let's not beat ourselves up. If we've been a cigarette smoker or we are a cigarette smoker, let's forgive ourselves, and we've all done
Move
things
on,
we should have.
right? Stop
Yeah,
there.
and say, well, what can I do from now to improve? And, I think there is a lot of evidence that your body is really good at healing itself as well. Even for people that have been chronic smokers for many, many years, there's still cells within our lungs that seem to hide, and they come out when we give them a chance, and replicate and can replace some of those damaged cells.
Sure. I know. I mean, any autoimmune disease is pretty rough. It's like, it's sort of like, it's your body turning against you almost, right? I mean, I that's sort of how I see it. And do you see this product or as a general for anybody with an autoimmune disease, or is it more with the lung capacity? Okay.
Yes. No. So the anthocyanins themselves. So everybody can use zinc.
Yep.
And everybody can use more plant bioactives. And this actually, although we're predominantly using it in an environment for lungs, there's efficacy around brain health. There's efficacy around heart health. There's efficacy around just looking after your organs. And it's got so many antioxidants in it that we can just all use more antioxidants.
Yeah. And did you say you're working on another product?
Yeah, so we've got our gut health product, and we're also working on a brain health and a heart health product as well.
Oh,
and all the same kind of complementary thinking. How do we use the whole plants, and how do we make sure that we make those compounds as bioavailable for our bodies as we can?
Yeah.
And it's that combination of using modern science, but also a real nod to our past, as well. And really, we do a lot of research understanding what people historically used to use as well, and then looking at that compared to modern medicine and trying to understand the mechanics, because I think our ancestors knew a lot more than we gave them credit for.
For sure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at China.
Yeah.
Years of using herbs and all that stuff.
Yeah. And as I said before, a lot of those herbs form the basis of modern medicine. Right.
And so little are used today, right? It's like you said, it's a small percentage of even what's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boysenberry thing is fascinating. I had no idea about the sunlight, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I mean, I think thinking about anthocyanins in terms of your diet, they're, products like beet and grapes, any berries, anything that's that deep purple color, really rich in anthocyanins. So lots of those in your diet are really great as well.
Yeah. Is there a dream? What's the dream? Where do you see you guys in a couple of years? What's your what's the hope?
I mean, the dream for us, really is around changing people's lives, and we would love our business to grow, obviously, but that is the drive is around changing people's lives. So we want our business to grow so that we can reach more people, and reaching more people is not just reaching anyone. We want to make our product so that it's accessible to people. We're looking at trying to do some clinical trials, so potentially some of these products could be prescribed. And that's further down the track. But fundamentally, if we can change lives, then we're achieving our purpose as a business.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Do you find it difficult to do a clinical trial for something like this?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the clinical trial will be okay, but it's actually getting the product through to a medicine status. And it's a little bit like what I described before. When you think about the pharmaceutical being reductionist, they tend to get down to one compound. And we actually don't want to get down to one compound. So we need it to be recognized as a medicine with multiple compounds. So that's going to be the challenge.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can say a lot about the pharmaceutical industry, which I won't say right now. But
interestingly,
to be an industry that makes billions and billions of dollars, it's amazing that they just be a little bit more broader thinking, or they are, and I don't know. there's a lot of different thoughts, right?
One of the best health regulations in the world is actually Canada Health in terms of natural health products. So you know how we talked before, how we're not allowed to actually say much about the science about our product.
Right.
Canada Health actually has a system where, so a compound like quercetin, they study the science behind quercetin and they develop these monographs, and you're allowed to use what's written in those monographs. And so it's we're much more able to talk about the science in Canada than we are in any other jurisdiction.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Well, hopefully, you know, I think people are awakening now to the realization that I think most of our food is crap, especially the processed food. Right. It's what causes inflammation. It's, you know, especially, you know, I know I've read articles about pork being a carcinogen, like smoking cigarettes, you know, and for me, from my vegan background and rescuing animals, you know, what they're feeding these animals, the way the animals are kept, I mean, it all goes into the food chain, and, you know, people are putting that into their bodies, and it's just, it's awful.
It's really interesting. I was reading, one of our customers asked me, could we use exhale for her pet dog? And I thought, oh goodness. And so then I started doing a lot of research around that. And people are using quercetin, which is one of the compounds, and pets for anti-inflammatory purposes. And they're calling it nature's Benadryl, which I thought was really interesting. So you're right. You know, we're doing the same with our animals. We're kind of feeding them on these monocultures, if you like, and you know, the whole food system is a little bit broken on that front. But it's how do we get more variety, both in our pets' diet, but also our diets.
Yeah, I think it's also it's got to be a whole education shift. You know, I think little kids are lied to. You know, there's just this continuation of a bad system for so many years. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution to that is. I guess the more we talk about it and the more the world talks about it, it's getting a little better.
Yeah, and I think that is about empowering people, as Darcy said before. You know, it's about people being responsible for doing their own learning and understanding about what we put into our mouths has an effect on us. But that education has to start really early. So it has to start when kids are, you know, in you call it elementary school, don't you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So when kids are in elementary school, it has to start, you know, right back then. Yeah. And some of our schools here are there, and I'm sure it's the same in the US, they're having their own little gardens now at the back of the classroom so that they can learn about growing vegetables and you know, how bees pollinate and all those wonderful things.
Right. Yeah, it's gardening seems to be coming back now here.
Yeah. So fingers crossed that movement just keeps growing, and
that would be amazing.
And the kind of whole foods type outlets become accessible for not just the more wealthy, but accessible for everyone as well.
Everybody. Yeah. It's the statistics about, you know, what we feed to the animals versus how we could feed the world. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Very.
Yeah. Did I miss anything? Anything else we should talk about?
I absolutely love that you've got a sanctuary.
Thank you.
I do some cat rescue and some dog rescue stuff here, and I know how hard it is.
Yep.
And how many animals do you have?
We just topped about 180 farm animals.
Wow,
large animals.
That's awesome.
Yeah, about 130 pigs. And we got cows, goats, sheep, donkeys. We have a little mini horse, a mini mule. We got some chickens. You know, we got the whole farm here. And they've all been rescued from the majority from abuse cases, hoarding cases, stuff like that.
And they've each got their own personality, and I'm sure they interact.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The chaos.
The pigs are so smart. I wish people understood how smart they were.
Yeah,
they're
really interesting,
smart.
isn't it?
Yeah. They keep me entertained, that's for sure.
So why did you become a vegan?
Why?
Yes.
You know, factory farming is absolutely horrible. Growing up, I never made the connection, like most of us. When I reconnected with a friend from high school who was showing all the awful stuff on Facebook, like the slaughter videos and all that stuff. And I watched a video from Mercy for Animals, and what they did was they did each animal and how their whole life basically in a factory farm. This is how they're born, this is what happens. And when I saw the way pigs were kept, I had no idea. Most of it, I had no idea that they're in these little crates, and it's just. It took me about 3 days to finish watching this, and I was so horrified. Here I'm thinking cows are running around in the grass, and not that would make a difference to me at this point, but they're just tortured souls. They're smart. They're the most helpless of animals, and we just happen to be using them for food, and obviously the health benefits are just something that happens when you become vegan.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Oh, we love what you're doing. It's
yeah.
fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, guys. Mm-hmm. Thanks. Yeah. I'm excited what you guys are doing. I'm happy to have you on the show today. And
yeah, it's been fun.
I'll definitely we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, great.
Send us your address and we'll send you some stuff as well.
Oh, I'd love to. That'd be awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. Final thoughts?
Mr. Rogers actually said in the movie that he didn't like to eat anything that had a mother. And
okay.
Yeah, I thought that was rather poignant. So
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
I guess, yeah. And my final thought is really around just encouraging people to have that variety of plants. So there's a medical doctor in the US, and his name is escaping me at the moment, but his view was we should be eating 20 to 30 plant species a week, which sounds a lot, but by the time you have your seeds and things, I think we've got to love our plants, and we've got to love our variety of plants. So spread the word.
Amen. Mm-hmm. Yep. Awesome. Great, guys.
Great.
Tk you.
It was great to meet you guys. Thank you for coming on the show, and we'll be in touch.
All right.
You too. Thanks, Christopher.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
You.
Take care.
Yeah. You too. All right. Well, I learned a lot tonight. Wow, that's crazy stuff, man. I had no idea some of the plant science behind some of this stuff. Crazy stuff, right? All right, guys. I'm going to end up the show a little early tonight. I know I usually drone on at this point, but I'm going to mention one more time. We do have our auction starting Saturday. I hope everybody will have fun and join us. Link is up on Facebook, and the site is 32auctions.com, and auctions with an S. So it's 32auctions.com/ I'm pretty sure it's / Little Bear Sanctuary. I could be wrong, but we're going to put the links up tomorrow. If you guys want to preview some of the stuff that we have, you can take a peek. We've got about a good 10 more items going on tomorrow, so not everything is listed. We have about 50 items right now. I want to thank the companies who generously donated most of the stuff. I want a big thanks to my friend Elizabeth. She painted these incredible paintings. Tiffany, you know her. She, you know what? I've had the private chat on. I don't even know who's here. There she. So guys, I had the private chat. I have not seen anybody's comments tonight. All right, let me go back and say hello to everybody. I'm like, gosh, there's nobody here. All right, here we go. Who's here? Michelle. Hi, Michelle. How are you? Did I see that Elizabeth is here? Oh my gosh, Elizabeth. I was just obviously telling everybody about your amazing paintings. Gosh, guys, Elizabeth is so talented. I don't think I'm going to put that little bear one on to the auction. I think I'm going to keep that, Elizabeth. It's amazing. Her paintings are just gorgeous. I can't wait to show you guys. And yeah, it's going to be a fun auction. Let me read it. Oh, okay, she might not be here. She said she was here for a few minutes, so she might not be here anymore. But hello again. Thank you, Elizabeth. She's coming tomorrow to deliver the paintings. What else can I tell you? Lots of gift certificates. Miyoko is, oh my gosh, Follow Your Heart. We've got CBD. There's a really good CBD company. They make amazing pet and human CBD. They're very generous. They donated 4 bottles of human CBD. We've got, oh my gosh, we've got it runs the gamut. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, $3, $5, $10 starting bids, and then it goes up by $1. It's a silent auction, so you don't know who's bidding. It's pretty much anonymous. And the good thing about the site that I like is it's really easy to register. It's just your name and your email, and you don't even have to put in your credit card information unless you're the high bidder at the end of the week. And it's a lot of fun. You'll get email notifications if you're outbid. We hope you guys will all be generous. It's the prize is sort of just like a fun thing, but the money's going to go to our food budget, which we need everybody's help this year. It's been a lot of food, a lot of animals. All right, I'm going to end there. I just wanted, I've been feeling really crappy the past few weeks, and I'm feeling so much better today. I'm feeling better than I have in a long time. We think it might be Lyme disease. A couple more tests we're going to do, and I just thought I'd share that with you guys. So I'm going to end early tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to my guests. Thank you, Darcy. Thank you, Anna. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. My guest next week. Where's my guest? My guest next week. His name is Scott Vane. I gotta find his Here we go. So my guest next week is Scott Vane. He runs a nonprofit called Joey's Legacy. It's joeyslegacy.org. It's a nonprofit. And basically, they're really taking a bold look into veterinary malpractice. So I'm really excited to have him on the show next week. And I'm going to leave you guys at that. Check out the auction. We'll be posting about it. There's a Facebook link. And that's it, guys. Chris Vane saying goodbye. Have a good night, everybody. Love you guys. Remember, peace begins on your plate.
Don't want the fun to end? Grab more refreshments. Then head over to the Goldylocks Productions YouTube channel. With the huge selection of shows, the fun doesn't have to end.